here outside of Uvalde, Texas, and we're here with a good friend of Bushnell and good friend of mine, Mike Stoff, with Savage Outdoors and SOE. Tell us a little bit what you've got going out here. I've been really impressed with everything that you showed us and all the different hunts. And man, you're a man of 1,000 talents trying to keep everything afloat. So tell us a little bit about it.
1,000 talents, maybe too many irons in the fire. But we've got some really good hunting here. We own some of the ranches that we hunt, and we lease a lot of places. So I'm really lucky to work with some great landowners that allow us to lease great properties. You can't put on great hunts without having great properties to do it on. So we're really lucky. It's taken a long time for us to acquire all that we have and have access to it and build the trust factor and all those things. But that's kind of the business model of our outfitting,
Right.
But you guys came out. You're kind of on the back end of the peak of the turkey activity. We're hunting Rios down here,
Right.
so there's no shortage of turkeys. We got lots of birds on lots of different ranches, and so we were able to kind of always stay on fresh birds and stay ahead of it. And my guides and the guys that work with me are awesome. They are the reason we're successful the way we are. They're crucial. My job is to kind of facilitate all this madness that's going on, and I do a lot of the scouting and management, so to speak, and keep them ahead on the hunt. So like I may be a day or two ahead of them scouting and then telling them, hey, this is where we need to be with your hunters the next couple of days. So even when I'm not out with the hunter calling for them or sitting in the deer blind with them, I'm still very much involved in all those hunts.
Right.
There's a lot that we're doing, but we're proud of what we do. I like to think we're good at it sometimes. Then we get lucky sometimes too. But the hunting here is really good.
Yeah.
And that's why I moved here. You asked me, how'd you end up in Texas
Exactly.
from North Carolina? And this is the hunting paradise.
Yeah, it is God's country. And the place you took us yesterday, the place we went this morning, now I know why. It's one of the best kept secrets. Well, it may not be a best kept secret anymore because it's out there.
Hopefully not. There's a lot of people watching my TV show, so it's not. Hopefully they're all
it's
watching.
really not a secret anymore. But yeah, we've had a lot of success the last. It's not even been a day. We rolled in about this time yesterday, so a lot of fun, a lot of success. Tell us a little bit about the Rio versus the Osceola, and the Rio versus the Eastern, and then kind of what we can expect with the Marion when we go up to Montana.
Yeah, well, you guys have got a pretty cool spring. I want to be you this spring. I thought I got to hunt a lot. Getting to chase the whole Grand Slam, that's pretty awesome. But they all a lot. All the birds are a little different. I personally, when I've hunted the different species, I'll end up hunting them a little bit different. And it's not necessarily always the bird. A lot of it has to do with the pressure that's on the bird and the terrain or area that you're hunting them in, because it's all different. And the population of birds. You got a lot of birds, don't have a lot of birds. Down here it's kind of nice because with the Rios, if we mess one up, a lot of these guys from back east that are used to hunting Easterns, if they spook one here, it's like you shot their dog. They're just, oh gosh, it's all over. I'm like, we're gonna find another one. Well, when you're hunting Easterns a lot of places, that was the bird you were hunting. Like you've screwed up and the day's over. Here it's I'll go find another bird. Let's go, pick your head up, let's roll. Because of the number of birds we have here.
Right.
And of course there's other areas in the country that way too. But that's a nice thing about hunting here is lots of targets of opportunity. Lots of chances to find a turkey that's in the right mood. You can work them.
Yeah.
So difference, from the Rios, an Eastern hunter a lot of time would probably say that we're overcalling when we're hunting the Rios. Like if he's cutting me off and talking to me, I'm on him. Like I want him to come. And most of the time you just keep them interested and they're going to come on with it. Hunting Easterns, you can definitely overcall. I mean, no question about it. A lot of that has to do with the pressure on those birds. It might not be as many birds, depending on where you are. If they've been pressured, they've been educated, you've got to trick them. There's a lot more to it. So overcalling can kind of screw you up there. So, we'll definitely be a little more cautious when we hunt the Easterns. Roosting the birds, when you're hunting Easterns or Osceolas is an important part, so you know where they're at. So you start in the right spot in the morning. Here, if we don't bother the birds in the afternoons, most of the time they're going to roost in the same place.
Right.
Or if not the same tree necessarily, the same area. So I don't have to go visit those birds every day to know where they So again, that's kind of a different way you're always roosting birds, when you're hunting back east,
Like that tree you showed us yesterday. There was no leaves in that section of the tree, and I'm like, no, it's dead. And you're like, no, that's where the turkeys have been roosting.
That's because
that
those
blew my
birds are
mind.
in that tree every night as long as I've been hunting that place. And there's literally no, in the top of that oak tree in the middle, there's no leaves on it. And it's because there's always a turkey on the land.
That's nuts. I've never seen that. That was pretty incredible to see that.
If you walk under that tree, you
Yeah.
got 3 inches deep of turkey poops.
Yeah, so let's walk through my hunt yesterday. We roll in about almost 2:00. We get our gear ready, and you're like, I got a good spot for you. And as we were driving over there, you're like, okay, I know there's birds there. Just get in there, be quiet for 30 minutes or more, slightly calm, see what happens.
It was a super hot day yesterday.
Yeah, it was extremely hot.
Hottest day we've had all year. A little bit windy. So it's like, all right, how can we get in a bottom out of the wind and in a place where we know turkeys might go? Because yesterday morning it was real humid, heavy air, pressure dropped. It just wasn't a great morning. They didn't do a lot. In the afternoon, I didn't think it was going to be much better, as hot as they'd gotten. So it's like, we need to go where we know turkeys are going to be. So we popped up a blind in a good location. There's water in the area. It down the shade, got us out of that wind a little bit.
Yeah.
And, that was the plan, and it actually worked.
Well, and we drove in, and you turned down that alley into I guess there's a lot of mesquite and thicket and stuff. And we drove down that alley, and sure enough, there was 2 gobblers right in the road, and a hen or 2 off to the side, and we just kind of sat there and watched a little bit and let them kind of meander off the road. We pulled down in the bottom, and it was nice down in the bottom. You're right, that wind was cut off by the banks and everything. And then we had a friend in the blind when James and I got into the blind, and
that's the first for this year. I've had that happen a couple of times over the years, but I told these guys right when they first went to go get into the blind, I was like, no matter what you do, when you're getting in a ground blind here, always check it, because there could be a rattlesnake. I mean, you say that and it never happens, but so I'm backing the truck up to pull away, and you guys are bailing out the door, and I'm like, what are y'all doing?
what are you doing?
And there's a snake in there. So they literally had, and it was a little guy.
Yeah, it was small.
Yeah, he was curled up in there.
Maybe 12 inches.
When he rattled, you said it was like,
he was hitting against the side, and I looked through everywhere in there, and again, and anyone hunting in Texas, really look closely, because I mean, I had to have looked over him, or when I moved that bag of that chair, he was under that bag or something. I don't know, but he came out, got upset when James and I got in there, and boy, we flew out of there as fast as we could, and disposed of him pretty quickly. And no, I'm not a snake fan either, so that was.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't happen every day. It can happen, and the fact that it was a smaller snake was probably a bad thing, because you might not have noticed he was there if he didn't rattle. But if it was one of those 6-footers, you probably got bit.
Yeah.
So it's probably better if it was a small snake, I guess.
Yeah, and that's that confined space. If that had been a 6-footer, that blind would have been flipped over, and I would have been bailing.
Except I got all 4 corners staked and rope staked. You'd have been pushing up on it, and then the snake would have been in the blind with you.
Oh, geez, that'd have been awful. But so we after we dispose of that little guy, we get in the blind, and James and I not quite sure how to get situated. We get situated, and you're gone, and we knew the turkeys were in the area, and most places tell us, if you're just drive in there like you're being a farmer, don't disrupt anything, just stay in the truck, go from the truck to the blind and be done. And that's exactly what we did.
Besides killing the snake.
Yeah, besides killing the snake and probably making all sorts of racket, but took care of that and sat there for 10 minutes, and the turkeys came up over the bank of the hill, and there was 3 nice gobblers in there. They all had paintbrushes. Went back and looked at that video, and it's just like, man, and you pretty much laid it out for us. I mean, that was awesome so you've hunted that area a lot over the years, obviously. So you kind of knew.
That's what in fact, last spring I took my son in there, and that's where he killed his gobbler. And every year we can kill 2 or 3 right there. It's always, you go hunt it. And like all of our places, we really go out of our way to try to give the areas breaks. So that we're not overpressure and we're not killing too many birds out of one place or any of that. So literally, we've hunted there this year. I took a bow hunter in there, but that was almost 2 weeks ago.
Oh man,
no one's been in there. So the pressure on these places is virtually nothing. And so if you know where they're going to be on a tough afternoon like that, it's just what you got to do.
Yeah, I think that's key. Is you've got so much property out here, you know exactly where they are, and just keeping them not, people constantly hitting on them. And
you can't do that. That's the pressure thing, because these places are so big.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what the neighbor's doing because we have control of a big enough block that we can keep the pressure off. The only pressure they're getting is what we put on them. Where back east, a big place might only be a couple hundred acres. Well, those birds are all over the neighbors during the day and stuff. And so you can't control what somebody else is doing.
That's right. Yeah. So then this morning, we were excited. We got my third leg of the Grand Slam, 1 to go in Montana. I can't thank you enough.
You're almost there.
I'm almost there. Going with Blanton, so I'm sure where we're going up at J&J Guide Service up in at Kalaka, Montana, and I'm probably not saying that right, but we've got a full week to do that. So
Mr. David Blanton's going to take you turkey hunting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So looking forward to that, and then
you're kind of a spoiled turkey hunter.
I am. I am.
Not because you got with me. That's not what I mean. You got to go with Waddell,
Culpepper,
and
Blanton, and you. I want
to be him and go hunt with these guys. Michael and Culpepper are about as good a turkey hunters you can get.
That was an incredible experience, and crawling on my belly out in the middle of the field and reaping on that.
That has to be Culpepper.
That was Culpepper.
Because he is mad at turkeys.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. He was born angry at them and still angry at them. And he's killed more than most people, and he's still just just fired up mad as you could possibly be at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm spoiled down here, so we'll hunt these Rios, and if we don't get one, like I say, I'll just go find another one.
Just go to the next place.
I'm not worried about it because tomorrow will be good.
Because
there's just so many birds. Those guys are so driven, and they're so used to hunting those easterns. They come out here, and it's like a slaughter. It's like, hey, boys, slow down, because you hunt them that hard. You're just, they're not going to lose.
Blanton and Nick just finished down here a few weeks ago, and I think they had one picture. They had 6 birds between the two of them. I think there was more people hunting, but
boys from Georgia.
Yeah, they were just like, ah. So no, it's been fun. And then this morning, we had 2 birds, and I'm like, James has been with me the whole trip, and I'm like, I want James to take the second bird, and I want to try my hand at being behind the camera. And
how'd that work?
Oh, it's terrible. I do not want his job. Just put me behind the gun, and I'm fine.
Yeah, and I don't think I held things any. I get all creative. I'm like, I'm gonna fan them down here, and I start putting the fan up while I'm blocking the camera. I'm running. I'm like, he's getting it on film. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, no, it is a tough job, and it's a thankless job too. So we get James out, and I get the Rite, the 12 gauge Rite out for him, get him his shells. He's excited. He didn't sleep a wink last night, and we walk around. We get out of the truck, and no more than we get out of the truck, and we're hearing the gobbling.
Oh, and that was quick.
And to the north, to the west, I think to the northwest. They were
everywhere.
Yeah, it did. It felt like I was back in Florida again with the Osceolas, because when we were they were all around us. It was just everywhere, and that's kind of the way it felt this morning. So we walked in, and we came around that I guess that knob or that tree grove, and we could see them flying down already. Oh
man, it was way early.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't say we were late.
It was just they were early.
I like to have been 5 minutes earlier, but man, hens were hit. A lot of times the gobbler will fly down. It's almost dark, He'll sit there and strut around. But there were hens coming down. It was quite the, cluster going on when we got there. And I was like, we have no choice but to set up like where we're standing.
Yeah.
You crawl up here, I'm gonna crawl back here, and we're gonna try to make it work.
Yeah, and James kind of crawled to his position, and I don't think he was in a position that he admired. I got behind him, and I'm trying to take the lens cap off without making any movement, trying to get the GoPro going and trying to get a good shot. And like I said, that is a thankless job. But
I had the camera sitting between my legs, and I've got the slate call in my hand. I was working, And then I would with the slate in my hand reach up and touch the focus ring, and then come back to hit the slate, and I had the diaphragm going. And then when the birds started coming, I was holding the slate in this hand, and I was working the tripod and the lens with one hand, and then I'm calling, and I had too many things going on.
No, but I kind of looked around, James, for a minute, and I'm like, I saw Tom like at 20 or 30 yards.
Yeah, they came right up there.
And I'm like,
I was wondering if he was working for PETA or something. I'm like, you're not going to shoot these turkeys.
I was thinking the same
Then
thing.
he let him walk off, and I was like, man, he's really generous for these birds, because I just shot him in the back of the head when they were walking off.
Yeah.
And then they kind of came back, and he takes the longest shot I've watched somebody shoot this year and straight up nails it.
Yeah,
awesome.
just dropped him. And I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you not have a shot, but I do right here. I could reach around. But no, it was just such a great experience this morning, and just fantastic. And you got us right in the right spot. They came in. We even had another gobbler coming from the north. I think that was the north from us that you saw, and we didn't even.
He was coming. I mean, if we just gave him another minute or two, he'd have made it there. He was definitely on the beeline.
Yeah, that was just a great experience, and I know James, you could say, how fun that was, and just it's been a great full day here, and
that full day, you only hunted like 10 minutes.
10 minutes each day.
This morning.
I'm saying the 24 hours we've been here, but
Gotcha.
no, this has been fantastic, and again, I called you 3 weeks ago and said, hey, do you got a spot for us? And you're like, yeah, I'll make room, and man, we couldn't have asked for a better experience, and so
it could have went different because it's real hunting, and you never know what the birds are going to do, but it's gone pretty good so far. So I'm pretty pumped. And tonight we got a little bit of a treat going on. We're going to have some crawfish. There's a guy from Louisiana coming to Uvalde doing this big cook-off deal, and I said, well, I need 30 pounds. So
oh wow,
we're gonna put some crawfish down.
Yeah.
And if you don't like them, I'm sorry. That's what we're having for dinner.
No, I can't wait. As an employee of Bushnell and an employee of Vista Outdoors, I know we're a big, huge corporation, but it's my 5 years been at Bushnell, meeting you and Michael and David and Phillip and all of our partners and ambassadors in the Bushnell team. It's like a big family, and that's the thing that I've just been.
That's created by you guys. It's not the guys you just rattled off are just a small group of the whole group of people that Bushnell works with. But when I get to hang out with any of your staff from the office and/or hunting with guys in the field, it's always been a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And so I always say there's worse things we could be doing for a living, and so we're lucky to get to do this kind of thing on a day in, daily. I mean, we're constantly just out in the field, chasing turkeys this time of year, deer in the fall, but it's fun to do it with fun people, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's the thing. To add to that, I've been blessed to be in the position that I'm in, and just being able to know you guys and somehow share the Bushnell experience with the viewers out there. Yeah. And that's been my goal of this entire series, is just trying to get the consumer out there to see kind of what Bushnell is about. Just get a peek behind the covers and just see how special our company is, how hard we work, but also how hard we play. So sure. It's been great.
Well, you're end users.
Yes.
To me, that's a lot of credibility in the industry, because there's a lot of folks that work in our industry that are not necessarily hunters or fishermen or outdoorsmen, and not to say you can't do a good job, but I think it comes across when it's like you're an enthusiast about the product that you make, or you're a person that uses those products. And so at the end of the day, I think the products come out a lot better because you've got some insight, and your office is full of hunters.
Oh yeah.
I know, because they're always calling and wanting to go do stuff, which is awesome. And I think it makes the products better.
Yeah. Well, and the red dot that we're running on the Rite, that was 100% of a situation where we were invited to go to Los Angeles with the LAPD SWAT team. They gave us a lot of information about here's kind of the things we'd look for in a red dot. Travis on our team went and built that RXS 250, and that thing's a tank. And the awesome thing that over this whole 4 weeks is I'll pull that shotgun out of my case when I get home, and the red dot's still on. I'm like, yeah, I'll turn it off. I've still got 50,000 plus hours of battery still.
Is that what it is, 50,000?
It's like 55,000 or something of battery life.
Crazy. Well, I'm going to quit turning mine off. I'm that guy that's always worried about it. I always turn it off the minute the hunt's done, and when we hear a gobble, I turn it back on. And I've more than one time turkey hunting slid the gun up in the shoulder and go, it's not on. and have to reach up there and turn it back on because I forgot. But if I got that many hours,
Yeah, you've got tons of battery life, and the other cool thing that he did is he created a fixture where he'll put it on a 9mm, 1911 and drop it at 4 feet, and he could drop it on wood and concrete, and I think he dropped it hundreds of times, and it's withstand that. So anything we're gonna put it through out here hunting is gonna be
easy.
It's gonna hold up.
Oh,
so
yeah. Oh, yeah.
so it's been fun, and this is the first time I've really hunted with a red dot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So these 3 hunts is the first time with a red dot, and it's changed my hunting experience.
For me, the red dot, the biggest thing about it is turkey hunting when you get set up, sometimes it's very difficult to get squared up perfect with a gun,
Yep.
And so you're always leaning over like this, or you're doing the left-hand switch because the bird got on this side and you're switching the gun around or doing something like that. And it's wherever that red dot is, no matter if you get up, if you're up off the stock, you're down buried on the stock, it doesn't matter. That's where it's going to be. And for turkey hunting, that's pretty slick.
Well, that's what we saw this morning with James. He was Buffalo Bill out there
gangster
shooting,
style
shooting.
Sure
yeah, that was amazing. So
he got tactical on the turkey.
He did. He
turned that
absolutely
AR
did.
sideways.
So, one last question for you. If somebody wanted to come out and book a turkey hunt with you, what do they have to do?
I mean, just contact me directly. If you go to the SOE Hunts website, which is soehunts.net, there's tabs across the top with all the different hunt packages and all our different locations because we outfit in Texas, Illinois, Iowa, and South Dakota. So
nice.
If you want whitetails, we got them. If you want mule deer, we got them in South Dakota. If you want turkeys, I got them in all our locations. Merriam's in South Dakota, Rio's in Texas, Eastern's in Illinois and Iowa.
So someone could contact you and get 3 legs of the Grand Slam pretty easy.
They could. Yep. Sure could. Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, my cell phone number's on there, and if you hit the contact on the website, believe it or not, I promise I'm the one actually answering all those emails. So you can reach out any way you want.
Very good. Well, I can't thank you enough, and on behalf of the whole Bushnell staff and team and James and I, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
It's fun when there's fun people. So
yeah, thank you.
I'm good.
So, well, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Man. Yeah, congrats on number 3.
Thank you.
One more to go.
One more.